All right, everyone, welcome back to Rico's Aquarium. Obviously, I'm coming to you also from saltwateraquarium.com. We are at Simply Reefing's house. We are down here for Reefapalooza and decided to come over and check out his aquarium. So make sure you guys follow him on what platforms are you on?
Let's do Instagram
Instagram.
and YouTube.
All right. Is there any space hyphens or anything for Instagram?
Instagram, I think, is simply underscore reefing. So,
All right. So, with that being said, what do we have here, sir?
so we got 150-gallon display tank built by Karen and Bob down at Exotic Aquariums down in Miami, with
Mm-hmm.
a 40-gallon sump, giving it about a total volume of about 180 gallons. Primarily SPS dominated. You know, it's a beautiful system here. So we got SPS at the top, LPS and softies down at the bottom midsection there. You know, so pretty much a mixed reef tank.
So, how long have you actually been in the hobby, and what inspired you to get into the hobby?
I actually been in the hobby since around 2013, and there's a long, funny story about it. But really, my little nephew, got me involved in it. Man, he wanted a tank, and I was in freshwater for a while. Decided to take my hand at doing some salt water to go ahead and see if I can do it. And from there, it took off from a 3-gallon all the way to what you guys see here.
So, what is that? How many years actually is that then?
It was
7 years?
about 7 years. I
Yeah.
started around the time that I think the first rack came out.
So, what corals did you start with first?
I start with the ones that everybody tells you not to get when they've been in the hobby for a while. I've had Polson zinnias. A couple of the first corals I ended up getting was a Kenya tree, rose bubble tip, anemones. I still got those. A lot of my corals that I started with, I still have. I got the Duncan back here. Got that from Top Shelf, one single head. Still have it. 7 years later, it's still rocking and rolling. I got a few pieces in here that I've had for years. So a lot of the ones that obviously take over your tank and cause all the nuisance and issues that people shy away from, I still have those. I did lose the Kenya trees. That was a definite hell no.
that was a hell no,
Yeah,
huh? Hell to the no
yeah.
no.
The first moment they start spawning and breaking off, and you think you're a great reefer because now they're reproducing, and that's not something that you've seen before as starting off in the hobby. You start thinking, man, I'm doing great. Next thing you know, they're everywhere.
So, with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about how would you educate yourself in this hobby, and what advices could you give to new people that are going to see these videos or this video in particular?
To be honest with you, man, I learned a lot from a lot of the older reefers. Your Julian Sprungs, your Mike Palettas, watching their tanks, because at the end of the day, we want it to be a full system. We want to get to that goal. And the only
Mm-hmm.
way you're going to get to that goal is by studying and learning what they did.
Yep.
And a lot of what I did in the years when I started hobbying, when I started this hobby, was to try to keep it very simple. You know, do what they were doing. You know, look at the equipment they were using, the methods, the techniques, things like that. And as time went on, try to figure out, okay, what works for my system. Now, I have multiple tanks, and each one of them run a little bit differently than the other. And that's, just running into those roadblocks, getting over the humps of your system will help you be a better reefer, because at the end of the day, it's you looking at the tank. It's not nobody else. I mean, it looks beautiful right now. You guys have probably seen a couple of my other videos. I've had a lot going on in here, but the tank still looks beautiful. So that's a testament to it being able to do what it needs to do for its own self.
So, with the Julian Sprungs, Mike Palettas, and all that,
I would
uh, Go ahead.
I would say, it is. They have tanks that, you wanted those corals. You wanted a big colony like your 300. I love the big colonies in there. You want to get to that point where it's like you have you don't have a mini colony. You have
Basketball.
something that's at least over 6-7 inches.
Soccer ball.
Yes, definitely. If you come in with the tiny like mini colony, like right now, a lot of days people say, "Oh man, it's a colony." No, that's a mini colony. And if you look, again, like I said, back in the days, I dealt with a lot of the old school reefers. That was a frag.
Yeah.
So
It was.
Yeah.
You know.
You want what's out in the ocean. Not you want it big. Yeah, it's just.
Right, but do you see benefits in starting small and growing out to be big, or would you prefer to just have big pieces and then you stick them in your aquarium?
To answer that, I would like frags do better.
Yeah.
I would tell you that frags, they decent sized frags do good. They will tolerate a lot.
So not to kind of jump off this, kind of stare in a different direction here. Speaking of these frags, how do you truly feel about the pricing nowadays? I mean, because I feel like you've been in the hobby 7 years. For sure, in the past couple of years, you've seen a big difference in pricing. So being a new hobbyist and knowing what when you came into the hobby 7 years ago till now, how does that affect you on buying corals, let's say?
Oh, honestly,
Pricing.
Now, pricing right now is through the roof. There is a definite bubble that's going to pop somewhere. Don't know when it's going to happen, but when frags run close to mortgage payments and upwards, you got to pull the ripcord at that point and figure out what you're going to do next.
So how do you think that would affect you, God forbid? But let's just say you ran into a situation and your aquarium crashed. Would you find yourself rebuilding, or would that put you in a position to maybe have to walk away?
With the time that I have invested in this,
Yes.
at this point, I would say rebuild. And you start really by banking corals. You have friends in the hobbies that you frag stuff with. You traded corals.
Yeah.
You may at this point have a frag tank or some other system set up somewhere else. Start banking those corals because you never know. Like we had this whole conversation about it, and then all the stuff started happening. I still am dealing with aqua-eating flatworms, and we know how bad that can get. And if I was to lose a good 80% of this, I could have it back in a frag, but just the investment and the time to get to this point is what hurts. I can get it back. It may not be the same way, but it can be done.
So speaking of aqua-eating flatworms, that is another form of a devastation that they can wreak havoc on the aquarium. So this is the aquarium that actually has it.
Yeah.
So how are we? I remember when you called me about like Rico, hold on,
I'm doing this. What else should I do, man? You've been in this before, so.
So for the people though, what have you done to help combat? Obviously, you talk to people. Obviously, I was one, but what do you do to combat this situation so it doesn't get out of control, or how are you handling it? Are you eradicating, and how are you eradicating? Are you limiting and just keeping the numbers down? What exactly are you doing? Because these corals are encrusted on some of this pretty darn good. They done put a good base on 3-4 inches, in some spots maybe across, if not more. So how are you dealing with this?
I mean, it's a multi-step process, to be honest with you. Anybody that's dealing with any kind of pest, I would say talk to folks who have been in the situation, or somebody who may have some knowledge on it. But for me, what I have been doing is pulling some of the corals out checking them, the ones that I can actually physically pull out, and just looking for the eggs, the actual worms themselves. To be honest with you, there are some corals in here that they really gravitate to, and they love those corals, and those are the ones that have the most damage to them and the most infestation.
Would that be like the Garf bonsai?
Garf bonsai,
that's my
man,
favorite coral as an indicator
that
for
turned into a
acro
breeding
eating flatworms. That has always been the coral that I've always made sure I had in the aquarium, because that's usually the first
Yep.
acro that they're going to gravitate to. And
them and the red bugs, because years ago when I had my 40, I had a Garf. The red bugs got a hold of it. All the polyps shrunk. That I didn't know what was going on. You see the branches, and all of a sudden no polyps.
Yeah.
And you get the red bugs in there. This had red bugs also.
Oh, I remember.
I mean, I'm with the red bugs. I'm not as devastated.
No,
that's
no,
an easy fix.
that's an easy fix.
It's the flatworms, because two things happen. What you guys don't realize, the flatworms, they're smarter than you.
Yeah.
They're smarter than the fish, because they'll stay at the bottom, they'll stay at the base of the coral. Wrasses can't get to them, and they can't see them because they'll blend in. I have the 500 FLO. They ate the skin so bad that when I blew off the flatworms, some of them were green.
Yes, they take on the color of the coral.
But here was my enjoyment about it. When I blew them off, these Antheas went to town on them. And I said, eat. And that was exactly what happened. So really, it's a process of having the right fish in your tank, not adding any more new corals. Don't go adding anything new. Try to, if it is a problem where the colony or the frag or something is that bad off, try to get a good viable frag from it and put it in a separate system. Or if you have a friend that can house it for you, say, hey, look, I have this issue. That way they're aware of it, and they can take their proper precautions against it, and hopefully you can get this cleared up. But like I said, it's a multi-step process. What works for me is turkey basting everything about once or twice a week, getting whatever's on there off, pulling corals that I can remove from the tank without breaking the whole base off, and treating it with the flatworm FX from Blue Life Marine. So that's been working in here, because I don't have to pull the carbon or anything out, and it's been doing a pretty good job at removing them and having a healthy tank. Because if your tank's not doing well, the corals aren't going to be able to recover. It's like if you get an injury and you're already sick, you're going to take a longer time to heal. So.
That's right. So that's great information. I'm sure somebody's going to learn something just from this video in itself. So, what else can we expect to see from this tank? Like, what's your long-term goal? Do you plan on more, or is this tank kind of fully stocked now, and you're just going to let what is here just grow out to big colonies?
Once I get the flatworms under control, I got about 6 more acros that I personally want to add back in here. I do have one more that I picked up at RAP that's not going to enter this tank until things get cleared up. But yeah, definitely right now, what's in here, I'm just going to let that grow into nice big colonies. It has the room and the space for it. It's done well. It's just a matter of me stop touching it and let it do its thing and let it grow.
Sounds great. So, with that all being said, I see you have you tell us what lights you're running across this beast.
Right now, I'm running 2 XR15s and an XR30, and 2 of the new, 2 of the reef bites on the new X series mounting arms and everything. I will say this. It's a nice setup. It's a very nice setup. I have noticed a lot of improvements, especially with some of the corals that are in the back and the front, from just the spread of the reef bites. The Duncans in the back here, they were a lot more receded, and then when I put the reef bites on, all those polyps hanging out in the back started coming out. Everything's starting to get happier that way.
So also, what do you do as far as filtration?
Right now I'm running filtration with a Clarice SK5000, a Reef Octopus 250 for the skimmer, a bunch of just live rock rubble that I've had for years. I just throw it down there, let it filter, and that's pretty much it as far as filtration.
And as far as tank demands?
We're meeting those demands with a Aqua FX calcium reactor, and that's been dosing. Actually, yeah, I am dosing Aqua Power for the aminos and the tropic marine elements, and those are replacing the micro elements and macro elements. I got an ICP done a couple weeks ago when I had the issue going on with everything in here, and that mainly was twofold. I needed to know what was happening in the tank and was my method of my maintenance here, because I hate to keep jumping around from product to product. Is what I'm doing working? And that's what people fail to realize, is that you need to make sure that your method is working for you. If you're dosing aminos, you're dosing 2-part or anything like that for a long period of time, get an ICP done. That way you know, is my process working? Because I hate, it go from one product to another product to another product.
Yeah.
No.
So do you think dosing aminos and all that is having a impact as far as honestly what sending out for a trident or anything? Do you think that that's helping you in some way, and why?
The macro elements and the aminos are helping mainly because I try to get away from doing water changes a whole lot on this tank. And that was the main reason, as less work than I can do, the easier I can make my whole life and not have to worry about going from bucket to bucket and draining and filling and doing all that stuff, the better.
So is it not getting water change on this, or it is but very little?
Very little.
Very little.
Water changes. About it. Honestly, at times I look at it and go, oh, I think I need to do a water change. I try to do one at least once a month or so, probably 10, 12 gallons or so, and then fill it back up. But other than that, just the elements and good filtration, that's all you really need. And test. Because if you don't test and you're just sitting there blindly doing water changes and everything looks fine, then you're just doing blind water changes for no reason.
So do you think it's for no reason, but at the same time, what about, well, you made the comment, you don't think by looking at things, if it doesn't seem like it, you're just doing a water change for no reason. But, and obviously, we're just talking here, but that's what I feel like people do. But the reality is, we still don't know. If it looks good, leave it alone. We always say that, right? And I don't want to confuse people and make it a debate. But also, I want people to understand what that statement is. Just because it looked good, it might not be good.
It might not be, because that was the problem here.
Right.
It looked good. It still looks good.
Right.
But there's just so much shit wrong.
There's a lot of stuff wrong. And
there's so much shit wrong.
There could be elements, unless you're testing for them or sending out, and the things that we can test for, you don't know. And it can look good, and it could be a simple element, that a minor element, high levels of lithium, or you don't know, and you can have high levels, but it's just on that borderline to actually showing a problem, but it's not showing a problem. It looks good.
Yeah.
And that's why I want people to understand that, it's
all about your method. That's really what it is. What I want to get people to understand is that whatever method you choose, it is.
That's your method.
Make sure you're testing. If you do water changes, I have no problem with people who do water changes, because years ago I used to do water changes every week. That was what I subscribed to. All right, it's Friday, water change. It's Friday, water change.
And it's simpler because you know you are replenishing everything
And that's what I did.
that salt that you started with
And
back in the aquarium.
True. And I never dosed aminos. I didn't dose all the additives.
Mhm.
It was mainly just water changes and kalkwasser.
So do you think with the things that you know now, do you feel that maybe just the simpler days were the best days in reefing versus some of the things that we got going on now?
I honestly do. And I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Right.
There's a token everything.
There is.
This tank is I tell people this is my tech tank. It has Neptune. It has everything. It has calcium. It has everything on it.
Yeah.
I have the 60.
Yeah.
It was just doser. I didn't know what the pH was.
Yeah.
I didn't know unless I took the hand up checker and dropped it. I
Just
didn't know
don't
what
know.
salinity was.
Right.
I looked at the corals. Okay.
Right.
They were happy. Once you start, for me, once I start knowing numbers, I start trying to get that number in a range that I know now is gonna work for the tank.
Right.
So I start chasing, but I don't want people to chase numbers, and that's why I say, whatever method you're doing, if you're doing water changes or if you're dosing calcium, if you're doing 2-part, if you're doing kalkwasser,
Yeah.
make sure you test it and see is that working for you, because you got to find what's easy for you.
Right.
And what works, because if your store runs out, I've had this happen.
So-
My stores run out of salt.
So how do you feel about people? Obviously, you've been there on my channel from the very beginning, and you've probably learned a lot, and probably whatever the case may be. How do you feel about when it comes to learning? And obviously, you used inspiration from like Julian Sprung and Sanjay and stuff like that. But the information that you're learning and getting from people.
Yep.
We got a visitor.
Hey. I know. I haven't been here in a day or two.
Yeah, buddy. So the information and how do you feel about when it comes to get information? Also from like obviously social media. We got close and got to know each other and grew and it developed a friendship over social media.
Yeah.
How does that, I guess, I don't know how I say this, but
Just say it.
well, yeah, right. Well, when it comes to how do you feel about hearing a bunch of different methods and taking like not getting too stuck on a bunch of different advices, I guess? Because I feel like, and let me just talk here in a second, but I feel like people they like something that you might have said here and then don't like it there, or maybe like the way somebody else goes against what one says, or you know what I mean? Kind of know what I'm trying to go with, but it's like
everybody has their own method of doing things.
Right.
It's again going back to what's going to be the reality of things is you're going to walk in the door. That's your tank.
Yeah.
You're not going to walk into Rico's Aquariums tank. You're not going to walk into JK. You're not going to walk into Reef Builders. You're not going to go walk into Worldwide. Everybody's method is going to be different. That's just bottom line.
Right. So how do you take all these different people like you just named?
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying, and decide how to make it your own.
Trial and error. Honestly, it comes down to trial and error, because you're going to take that method, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say somebody's into kalkwasser, right? They love kalkwasser, and you want to try it, and you find that for what you're doing, kalkwasser works,
right?
Or it may not fit with your lifestyle. That's really what I'm trying to get to, is like, what's going to be beneficial to you, because somebody may have the time to go ahead and mix up the calcium. They may have time to go and deal with a 2-part. You may not have that time. That method works for them, but it may not work for you, but you want to try it. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work for you, find what's going to be comfortable for you at the end of the day, your lifestyle and everything that you have going on. So for me, what I did was, you know, being around for so long, I've done Kalkwasser, I've done two-part, I have calcium reactor now. Like I said, every system works a little differently for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it works for me. I can I can go to the phone, or I can go to a store and I can pick up a replenishment of that item. I don't have to special order it from somewhere else.
Right.
But that's the method that I chose to go with. And to be honest with you, I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried new stuff that's come up on the market. I've I've melted corals just from the things that I'm trying. I don't show you guys those things because it happens so fast. Somebody says, "Oh, we got this thing that'll raise the pH." Okay, there's a lot of things that'll do that.
So you said something that I kind of want to go. You're like, I've done this, but I just don't show you guys.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that though? Like, when it comes for you wanting to see something, and you buy something, but you didn't realize after researching how many problems there were on a product until it was too late. And now that you said that, I guess you just keep paying it forward. We're not deliberately doing it.
Yeah.
But do you feel like maybe it's embarrassment, or you don't want people to troll because of your mistakes?
It's not even.
What is it?
It's not embarrassment or anything. I don't want anybody to troll.
Yeah.
A lot of times things happen so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time to pick up a camera and then film what's going on.
Yeah, but you don't. But you always could have the time at some point to talk about it. And do you talk about it though?
That is true. There are things that I have talked about before. There are times when I really want to give you guys here a legitimate product review on something that somebody said, "Hey, this thing does this." I want to know, does it do that? Will it make my life easier? They're telling you guys it'll make your life easy.
And speaking of that, like, okay, when it comes, how do you feel about that? Like, if there's people that's doing obviously social media, taking on a product or getting a product from, obviously from some company, how do you pick and choose who's actually being real? How do you base your view of somebody else giving a review of being real? I know people said things to me, but I want to hear.
Here's the thing, and I've made comments about certain things. My thing is this: if you're going to try the product, use a product, or deal with a product, or even if you get it to try it out, have it long term.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get it last week, and now it's the best thing since sliced bread. You had it for a month; it is still not the greatest thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is still in its infancy on your system. Another thing to look at is just the history of that person. Not the person themselves, their tank. A lot of things get put online. A lot of things get put on YouTube. There's a history.
But let me cut you off right. You said, but not. You said the person's tank.
Yeah.
But why not the person? And the only reason I say this is because I know several people that never had a reef tank that is like, bam. And prime example, shout out to my man, West Coast Reefer. He was new to reefing.
Rob came in like a hurricane.
Rob came in, you know what he did? He sat there and listened, and he absorbed, and he did what he did and made it his own. Did he implement a lot of things that was talked about? Of course he did. But what I'm saying is, and yes, he was looking at an individual's tank. I think it was that one guy on YouTube. What's his name? Rico's Aquariums. It was Rico's Reef Tank back then. Now I was like, Rico. I don't know about that guy.
Too many corals in his tank for his own.
Yeah, I don't know where that guy went, but I think he's coming back on social media.
But I think he got put in timeout for a bit. They let him go out of timeout.
They let him go? Okay, so he should be making a major comeback. But no, we have to give credit where credit's due. Yeah. And, and there's other ones. And guys don't feel a certain type of way about, one person got a shout out right this second. But
There's a lot of people I watch. They set it, and they forget it, and their tanks are beautiful.
Beautiful, and that's what I'm saying. So,
That's exactly what you're gonna get. Look how it goes. Ooh, and that's a lot. There are some people out there who have nice tanks, and you can just hear what they're talking about, but they follow the method,
right,
and that method works for them.
correct.
And hey, either you can try to copy that method and see if that method works for you, or you find your own method based off of theirs.
But yes, but I definitely agree with you. You know, and like I said, shout out to West Coast, but you know, you have to look at the business card. But I honestly feel you have to have faith or believe in the person that is giving out information.
Oh, you gotta trust
You
them.
have to trust them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they have to. The person that you trust means then you have to also believe in them, that they're steering you in the right direction and not costing you more pain and headache and money out your pocket. So
I've had that happen too, where somebody came in, they seemed like the most
knowledgeable
knowledgeable
person.
person in the room.
Yes.
And they said, no, you need to set your at this.
Yes.
Okay, I believe you because we discussed some things.
Yes.
I told you here, this is what my issue is, and you gave a recommendation. Okay, I trust you. But you know what? It could work or it couldn't work.
And the only difference between that statement is everything normally will work.
Yeah.
But there's a time and a place, and what your tank is going through at that moment is going to dictate whether that works or don't work.
But that's what it
The
comes down to.
maturity of the tank, how young the tank is, how old the tank is. There's a lot of different reasons. And this is why every tank is different. Your bioload to the rock work to the amount of sand is going to dictate how much beneficial bacteria on all the surface. How much surface do you have for beneficial bacteria? You know, how much can you fit? How much surface do you have?
Well,
You know, all these things dictate the aquarium. If we was to make an analogy of it, right? You are how tall?
5'11".
You are 5'11" and I am 5'8" and a half now that I'm old. But prime example is you are 5'11". You have a bigger frame because you are taller, correct? That means that you have where you can put on more mass, even if we were both bodybuilders, than I can. You get it?
I get it.
So at the end of the day, we can both be great looking fellas with great bedroom bodies.
Dad bods.
But at the end of the day, your aquarium, meaning you, can tolerate more than my frame can just because of size. So if you ever been told size doesn't matter, that's a lie.
It does. It does.
Okay, so
See, look.
but anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. So, but there's a number of things, and I just want people to understand that I say that this hobby can be easy or it can be hard. Would you agree or disagree?
I will totally agree with you on that.
And why?
Because again, as long as I've been doing it, I've made it. I went from where it used to be very easy, and I've gone to a level where it's a little bit more difficult. There has to be a little bit more time put into it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're going to make it whatever if you deal with. If you're going to make it difficult, it will be difficult. A lot of it comes down to folks will ask me, I want to get into the hobby. What do I need? How can I make it easy?
Right.
Get softies. If you want just flat out, I don't want to have to worry about it too much. Get this certain core. Not saying that it won't be difficult at some point in time, but at least you have a good foundation to start from, and you progress from there. I wouldn't tell anybody brand new into the hobby, go ahead and get the home wrecker and throw it into your tank. one, they don't have the experience at that moment to deal with it. You know, certain things happen, they may not be fireworks. You're not going to know what it looks like.
Yeah.
It could just strip on you because of various different reasons. Your water chemistry is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I bring up the point about, you know, talking to folks who've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Because they went through they went through the rocky roads. They've had issues in their tanks, and they've had an easy road at times. It never stops. It just depends on,
correct,
you know, what direction you want to go.
Well, so you kind of already answered some of the things that I was going to say next, is about directing somebody new into the hobby. Where would you start them off, or what would your thing? But you kind of broke that down. So before we wrap this up, what advice would you give, or a couple of things, as far as advice? I know this is an open-end conversation, so if you could sum it up, but what can you say, I guess, to new hobbyists coming in, and and I guess kind of not to be funny. There's a lot of drama nowadays when it comes to social media, and how it can honestly discourage people from even being on or interacting on other channels due to people trying to be ignorant, bully people, where people just don't want to ask simple questions because they think it's dumb, maybe because they've seen other people like bully them because that it's a newbie question or whatever, or just or just the fact that it just became I don't know, just an issue when it comes to things. So how do we keep, I guess, some of these new people from worrying about some of the drama? Try to get them to understand, some drama is actually good, whether they want to believe it or not. It keeps people talking about certain issues in the industry, maybe, or whatever. I mean, it's one thing of, I guess with one person's advice for another, but ultimately getting these people to understand that you will always have some type of drama, because people have their own opinions, and a lot of people are very passionate as well.
Passion drives people to do things.
Passion drives people to do things. So how do we get these people to understand that, hey, some drama is not as bad as you think? What advice can you give, I guess?
I would say this, because when I came into the hobby, there was a lot of reefing forums that were out there.
Yeah.
I was on Reef to Reef. I was on the Nano Reefing site, and before this, I had other hobbies that they had their own dramas. I was in the automotive, car audios, competitions, all of that stuff. There is drama in all hobbies. You're not gonna get away from it.
Right.
I've seen people get in arguments over whose speakers were louder than other folks, and I've seen people argue over what color the coral is. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. What can I tell a new person getting into the hobby is, do not focus on the drama. Don't make the drama part of your maintenance.
Your maintenance, right?
Don't make that drama part.
The drama's there.
It's Wednesday.
Don't make it. Don't make it become your drama.
Yeah. Don't make it.
Understand that? Okay, there's some drama on here. I'm gonna watch it like a Jerry Springer show.
Yep.
And learn something, even though I have to listen to all this other stuff.
And that's like you said, though, drama will bring out the worst and the best in people, and you will see that once the dust settles, who's still out here just talking, and who's still
great point. Who
has taken the higher road and kept in their lane, doing their thing, their maintenance, and they are taking care of themselves. So I really, honestly, I can tell folks, don't get caught up in the hype. Don't get caught up in the drama. If you like a person, you like that person. If you don't like them, you just don't like
That's
them.
why
Not
I'm glad
everybody's gonna
Rico's
love
Aquarium's
everybody.
coming back harder, better than ever.
They love you and they hate you. It don't matter. It don't
Yeah,
matter where it is, but
yeah,
you're gonna have it. I have people that probably hate me also too. I don't know about it. That's fine.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, yeah.
At the end of the day, I come home and look at this, and I go about my business. I have my own family and things to deal with.
So before we wrap this up, also can you and I always, I always shoot from the hip and keep it real and keep it 100. How do you, speaking of that real quick, how do you feel about a person like Rico's Aquarium being who he is and be 100% transparent and honest about it? This is the time to just let it all out. How do you feel about a person being that real in the hobby, or
If you can't be real, then what are you gonna be? You're gonna be fake, right? You're gonna be under the orange glasses.
do you have any? No.
Maybe we should put some up. But no. Honestly, what it comes down to is this: if you can't have anybody that's going to tell you, "Hey, that's bullshit," or "Hey, that looks like shit," or "Hey, maybe I don't think that was a good idea,"
Hmm.
they can't give you sound advice and tell you honestly from their heart, "Look, I'm looking out for you," because you've done that several times with me. I'll be like, "Look, I'm telling you right now, don't do that,"
Hmm.
and it was a good decision. Don't do it because
Yeah.
it could be wrong. Or you're like, "Look, it looks good."
So, but I guess, you know, which is obviously Rico's Rico, right?
From day one when I met this dude, he's been the same way.
That's what I was gonna say. Have I always or not been the same person in all these years now?
And again, it goes back to the whole drama thing.
Right.
You've been you. If people
Right.
like you, they'll deal
Exactly,
with you.
right?
If they don't like you, they won't deal with you.
So I guess it's like everything else, right? You have a
Time
cable
will tell.
box, and you got how many channels on that cable.
Which one am I gonna watch? Which
So
one
just
am
for
I gonna
people, I
watch?
guess, would you say it's safe to say if there's something you don't like, change the channel?
Yeah, it's fairly
Instead
easy.
of right.
I don't see how hard it is to change a channel.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you don't like the person, don't watch them. There's been a lot of folks I'm like, look,
I can't deal with it, right?
watch
You
this
can either
shit.
relate to them or you can't, correct?
And I've watched people for a while. There's a lot of folks I'm like, all right,
It
you've
ran
gone
its
off the
course.
rail.
Yeah. It's ran its course. It's time to go.
Something's gone wrong with this channel. You
Um,
went from good to.
So, also, how do you feel about? I guess I got a couple questions before we wrap it up. But how do you feel after all this time of somebody obviously you respect and watch, which is Rico's Aquarium's channel as well? But how do you feel when you heard about me kind of working with Saltwater Aquarium? Did that change your perspective of who I was when it came to talking about products or anything like that? How
No,
did-
no, because again, like you had mentioned, it's the person also delivering the message. Do you trust them?
Yeah.
I trust you giving me the honest truth because again,
Right.
your history. If you go back, you can watch all the videos. Look, I tell people, man, there's a history on the videos. Go back, you will see. He's not going to tell you, hey, look, this is a wonderful product. It's gold.
No, you already know because
You get this is a product. Right now it works, or this is my thought on it. I like that because although you got the product,
yeah.
the people watching this and myself
Hmm.
have to shell that money out to buy it.
Yeah.
And if I have to buy it and it doesn't work, and
Yeah.
somebody else was like, the product pusher was
Yeah.
out there saying, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's golden. It's silver. It's bomb. You need to buy this.
Hmm.
That's like with every infomercial that's out there, dude.
Yeah.
Buy this now. Buy this now. And you buy it because this person is so popular and their pitch was so perfect that
Right.
you went and bought it. So being honest about what you got.
You know what it is with me, to be quite honest, and it's the fact that you get one shot.
Yeah.
And what I mean by one shot is the fact that, all you have in this world is your word. You're putting yourself out there. There's a lot of trolls out here.
Yeah.
You putting yourself out here. All you have in this world is your word. And nowadays, a lot of words don't mean anything neither. But at the end of the day, if you keep it real from the beginning and keep it truthful, you don't have to worry about what the hell you said 10 videos back.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I can say, and everybody else can say. I've always said the same things over and over all these years.
And if you don't admit to your mistake, I've had people personally come and say, hey man, do you test for nitrates and phosphates? For a long time it was no, I only test for alkalinity and maybe calcium.
Yeah.
And after doing the test on this, I'm like, all right, I got my hand in checkers, and yeah, I will be testing for that. I went to each one of the tanks and I said, test, test, test.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just, and I will admit to it, I'm like, look, I messed up.
Yeah.
I'm not testing.
Yeah.
I recommend you do test or try to get something.
At least get an Apex and get it tried it to take some of the load off of you,
whatever
right?
method or maintenance works for you. If the Trident Apex and everything works, then that's great.
Also, once again, keep it real. And not just because I'm over at saltwateraquarium.com. What are some of the sources that you use to get your products from?
Dude, I will honestly say I will use anything that's available.
And that's that's all you got to say. That's it. That's honest. That's what people want to hear. And I want people to understand that it's okay. Because not everything, Saltwater Aquarium doesn't have everything, And I want people to understand that, there is a promo code that for life.
I got the promo code.
Yeah, for people, right? You want to save some money, right?
I had to pick up some pumps. They had the pumps.
Right.
I got the pumps.
Right. So there's a product code in the description of all my videos. If anybody's actually sees this video that's new, that you can go and get on the bottom in the description of these videos and get 5% for life on non-map items.
Yep.
If we're at a show. We can give out some discounts, usually better discounts at a show, or usually your discounts are around Christmas, Black Friday, but I want people to understand just because you love what it is that I do, I do my best to say, hey, people really like this. Why ain't you carrying this? I question, Saltwater Aquarium, and he says, really, let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
Let me work on that. Here's the thing. There's no sense of a company to no sense of he's chasing his tail right now. There's no sense of a company keeping things that are just going to stay, sitting on the shelf collecting dust.
Yeah.
That means it's garbage.
Yep.
I don't want to talk about it, so why you got it? I'm not going to talk, and if I do talk about it, I'm going to tell it, hey, it's shit. And you know me.
You ain't gonna buy it. I don't want to buy shit. I don't want. Look,
let me put it like this. Sometimes shit is shit. Yeah. Sometimes shit, but also it's shit that can get you and hold you off to a later date and time. Yeah. And if it's like that, then I'll also say, hey, you know what? It's garbage, but it also has its place. And I want people to understand that. And I want not everything that is shit is shit to that extreme. It's enough to get you by, to get your money together for something better, But there are some products that just don't do anything, and it's completely shit.
I'm gonna give you an example here. Like I keep talking about, I got multiple tanks.
Yes.
This one, Ecotech, Apex, Reef, whatever, everything.
Yeah.
The one that was here, I had, I got a J Baldoser, and I had a Varios pump on this one. The frag tank in the garage, another J Baldoser. They work. I've had my JBJ since I started the hobby. I think I just replaced the whole unit because it fried. Those are the things that if it works, it works. I'm going to keep it. Ain't no sense in me changing it.
Right.
The frag tank in there, I got a J-Bal return pump on it. I still got my Core 20. I don't feel like hooking it up, but hey, look, I got products that most people would say, oh, that's garbage. It never works. And I got products that people will be like, oh man, that is the best thing since sliced bread again.
Sliced bread.
It's been coated in 24 karat gold.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's the best. But you do have products that out the box, it's garbage.
Yes.
And you do have products that are like, it's like a spare tire. You don't need to drive on the spare tire, but in an emergency,
it works.
It works.
And it might work for a long time too.
I've seen people.
I'm just saying. I've seen people keep rolling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they only good for 50 miles or something, but they run way past them 50 miles. They put 1,000 miles on this.
But again, that's the thing. It's like you'll find products that are truly garbage, and there are products that do work for their intent.
Correct. So, with that being said, thanks, Simply Reef. I appreciate you giving us Rico's Aquarium and Saltwater Aquarium the opportunity and time to come over and hang out and check out your aquarium. Any last words of wisdom for this hobby moving forward before we say our goodbyes?
I honestly would say try to keep it as simple as possible. That's mainly why I ended up choosing the name Simply Reefing, because coming from where it started for me to now, a lot of people try to overcomplicate this hobby, and it really shouldn't be. A lot of people were surprised. This tank and all my tanks run off Instant Ocean. I tried all the other salts, but again, keep it simple. Get what you can get from your suppliers, and you will succeed. At the end of the day, as long as you keep your maintenance routine and not anyone else's own, you'll succeed.
And with that being said, give three favorite people you love in this industry a shout out. Top three. Top three.
After you write my check.
Are we paid for this now? No.
Paid advertising. Oh, where's the teleprompter?
I know, right?
I really can't give out three. I have a lot. You are one. Saltwater Aquariums is another one. Y'all are definitely up there. We got a lot of hobbyists that I do.
Okay, name a couple. Just drop a couple, man. Right? You know, that's cool. I know Saltwater Aquarium, and I myself really thank you for that. But outside of us,
outside of you guys, BRS, Marine Depot, those are my guys I go to a lot for things. On a hobbyist level, you know, there is I think it was Reef Man.
Tom?
No, not Reef Man Tom. There's another Reef Man. No, not Reef Man. That's why it was Reef Man Tom. There's another guy out there, Reef Man. He does some really in-depth videos on just the scientific side of things. Dan, when Dan was doing his videos, Dan, bring back the videos, man. We love them.
Put you to sleep.
Definitely. Yeah, well,
a lot of people say he puts me to sleep. They love his voice. Yeah.
Well, look, they tell me I got a soothing voice also too, depending on what's going on. But there's a few people out there that I will give. I'll give you some names. You can put them down in the description. They can check their channel.
No. We need you to say them live. We're not going to leave it up to Rick. Rick will just put whatever he wanted in there. No, buddy.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, dude. I do watch. If you got a nice tank and your content catches my eye, I do watch it. I really. I don't want to put people out because there's going to be somebody I'm going to forget, and they're going to be like, oh, you know, we've been cool for so long.
I was wondering because you did all the main distributors, the shops, but you didn't.
You know what?
Do you feel like you had to say that so nobody get mad at you?
You right here, I see you. I'm gonna tell you guys this, and I will tell anybody, and my girl will tell you also too. I'm bad with names.
No, that's okay. I just have to tease you a little bit. It's okay. Well, you know, for those people that obviously do you leave comments on some of these people that you watch?
Yeah.
So there.
Pelfrey needs to come back. Y'all need to go ahead and group up.
Yeah, what happened? What's up?
Pelfrey shut it down. He shut the whole system down.
Yeah, I thought I seen. I didn't know if it was whatever, but sometimes it's sometimes people go until they can't go anymore, or life and
It's
stuff.
life.
You know, not
It's
to
like
be
with
funny, like
CJ.
CJ. Exactly.
CJ had it. I love CJ's thing. You know what the thing was? I used to watch New York Stealer. That was my dude. I used to when I got into the hobby, when I had that little 3-gallon,
Yeah.
29, 10. I've had all different
Mhm.
mid-sizes. He was the guy I went to watch. Again, history. And that dude had the deep sand bed. He had an old school method. That was the method. I was like, all right.
Well, that was a lot of our methods that was in the hobby
deep
back.
sand beds,
And
actual live rock. Just kept it really simple. Just kept it really simple. So there was CJ. There was who else? Mr. Saltwater.
He's still here though.
I
Mr.
know.
Saltwater. I feel like
he went away from his video like about his tank and stuff like that. I knew he did the tank tours and he was going to some of his clients' tanks. And then when he had I think the 90 and the 120.
Yep.
Those were good videos. I know he's gone on to do other things to educate people more. I'm going to probably butcher this dude's name on it, but you guys probably know it's Corey Forrest, something like that. He has a beautiful SPS system. He talks a lot about it. He has the same soothing voice like Van. I'd have to pull the video up.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely that guy there.
I love this. See how I got you dropping names and you couldn't remember nothing.
I
love it. I love it.
Inappropriate Reef. I've watched a lot of his videos.
Yeah, and he's fairly new to the hobby still. You know, congratulations to him on that baby. You know,
the baby and everything. Life's catching up. Tank.
Yeah. You know.
Look, life catches up with you, and just like the folks who dropped off, they didn't drop off because the tanks were bad. They dropped off because
of life.
And again, that's that going back to the maintenance and stuff. I got, if I was to sit here and try to do the most complicated system with just everybody, the whole family. Yeah, I'd probably be like.
Well, to wrap this up real quick, it's funny you say that because you had a non-complicated and you went to a complicated.
I did.
But the complicated is now just non-complicated because you understand it and it's easy. And I want people to understand that too. Yeah. But, all right. Well, we appreciate you Simply Reefing, and I'll definitely be checking back in with you. For all you guys that don't know, I will be doing this coming to you this summer. If you are interested in me stopping by to video your aquarium, make sure you guys reach out to me on YouTube or Instagram and give me the info that I might need. If I'm going to be in that area, I will definitely reach out to you. Coming to you from saltwateraquarium.com as well, because they will make it happen and possible for me to do these things just to help out the community. They are a big help in this community. They're just to let everybody know that they actually do care, and they're here for you guys. If you guys obviously need anything, reach out to them. If you do have some problems with anything, you can always reach out to them, and they will do their best to help guide you in the direction that you need to go for any future things. So with that being said, this is Rico with Rico's Aquariums. Till next time, peace.